When you hear the term career, what do you think of? Many people envision a 9-to-5 job or someone pursuing a specialized field. These are both valid examples, but when it comes down to it, a career is a reflection of you and your work. People have viewed careers differently over the years. Decades ago, some considered a career to be working with one company until you retired. Later, others viewed it as working your way up through a specific industry. But nowadays, the workforce is changing at a faster pace. A career can include side hustles or working in the gig economy. Many people are also changing jobs more frequently. Because of the way our workforce is evolving, there's no right or wrong way to define what a career is. For example, let's take a look at Jennifer. She's always been a great creative problem solver. Her first job was helping her parents to run their family business. But for her next job, she found herself in event planning. And while working through both of these, she was also a freelance artist and was blogging on a regular basis. Even though these jobs seem fairly unrelated, together they form a career of her own. Simply put, a career is a culmination of the jobs you hold and how you weave them together to form a bigger picture.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
You might fantasize that identifying your dream job will be easy. You might take a test to help you understand what you're good at and enjoy. The test works like a magic sorting hat. The best career pops out, you get a job, and are happy for the rest of your life. Or you might take the idealized approach to your career exploration. You'd meet with a career counselor and complete a self-assessment to identify the skills, tasks, and values you'd want in a job. Multiple possibilities come out. To narrow it down, you'd read about those careers, talk to professionals, fall in love with one career, and go get your dream job. This approach is linear and logical, but not usually what happens. In reality, career exploration is messy, laborious, and iterative. Let's look at a typical case. A postdoc named John, ready to move on, but didn't know what he wanted to do. John met with a career counselor, took a self-assessment test, and a whole universe of career possibilities emerged. John narrowed his choices to 3 and began investigating jobs as a management consultant, medical science liaison, and medical writer. He did some reading on consulting and decided that consultants travel too much, so he eliminated that career. Next was medical science liaison. He liked what he read. He would be scientifically engaged while working with scientists and physicians. John talked to a medical science liaison and liked most of what he heard, except that there are advancement ceilings, so he crossed that off the list. On to medical writing. Like before, John read and spoke with people. He liked what he learned. He especially liked that he wouldn't need previous experience. He was tired of his postdoc and ready to make money. Over the course of a year, John applied for a ton of jobs, but got no interviews. Confused, he talked to more people. One told him that the field had changed. Now, you needed experience. So, he took a $2,500 regulatory writing course that would make him competitive. Unfortunately, he hated it. By now, John was very frustrated and told his sorry story to a classmate in the writing course. She suggested something different: patent agent. It seemed to involve the kinds of skills and tasks that John liked. This was an option he hadn't even considered. So we started the whole process over, reading and talking to people. This time, he also tested the work with a part-time internship at his university during his postdoc. He loved the work. He wrote reports and met several patent agents and lawyers. One of them suggested that he take the patent bar. He did, and he passed. John applied for jobs and found one quickly. These days, he's happily employed as a senior patent agent at a biotech company. Career exploration is complicated, messy, and hard work. So start early. Career exploration takes time. Don't rely on a single anecdote. Get multiple data points. Embrace serendipity, because career leads can come from unexpected places. Try out the work in a low-risk way and take heart. Eventually, everyone gets there.
follow your passion. Rings a bell? The phrase follow your passion has grown up by 900% since 1990. It's ironic that we live in a time where the phrase follow your passion is bandied about left, right, and center. However, avenues to build meaningful careers are few and far between. We are doing our best to standardize creativity and democratize mediocrity, leaving Jack a dull boy and Jill thoroughly dissatisfied. You know, you don't find your passion by sitting under a tree and waiting for the metaphoric apple to fall. I was trying to do that, the apple never fell. That's where I stumbled into this beautiful Japanese philosophy of ikigai, which is at the confluence of four primary elements: who you are, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. The beauty of ikigai is that it transforms this wild goose chase of passion into an experimentative discovery of purpose. Try and imagine in schools, in boardrooms, in classrooms, what if we, instead of competing with each other, collaborated? Instead of focusing on our differences, try and explore synergies. With this very simple idea that every single person in the world has something to learn and something to teach, I set up Network Capital. In 3 years, without spending a single dollar on marketing, we have grown to become a global tribe of 50,000 mentors coming from 104 countries. Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Israel, you name it, we have people from there. And you know what? The first thing that I've realized, young people don't want to build walls and firewalls. We want to build bridges across borders, boundaries. Differences don't matter to us. We wish to explore synergies. I took career as the focus point because no matter who you are, you want to build a meaningful career. So if you won't build a meaningful career by chasing passion, how is it that you're going to do it? So because everyone has something to learn and something to teach, I realized all we really need to do is to build a community and put forward a culture where sharing is incentivized. With this philosophy, we partnered with Government of India's Utkarsh Innovation Mission. And for the past 2 years, we are on the process of building the world's largest mentoring program, built on the philosophy of peer-to-peer learning. It operates at 3 levels. The first is our partnership with the government, where young professionals, a lot like Inc. fellows, go from boardrooms to classroom to share why they do what they do. This process that bridges the boardroom-classroom divide and most importantly gives children mental models to think about so that they can build careers that they truly care about. It's not a wild goose chase of passion, it's an exploratory discovery of purpose. The second level at which we operate is trying to really enhance career intelligence. Even in this room, if you ask many people, why do you do what you do? The answers will baffle you. So what I've stumbled through my adventure of building Network Capital is that the best way to do is to have people come forward and talk openly about their failures, their successes, why they did, what they realized. And by sharing it at scale, magic happens. Allow me to nerd out a little bit. 50,000, 104 countries, good number. But the real power of a network, as Metcalfe tells us, this is the Metcalfe law, not the Metcalfe that I played in the play, is actually the square of the trusted nodes. So 50,000 square, that's a lot of zeros. So if there's one thing that we've done really well, is that we have scaled trust across borders, across boundaries. When politicians are talking about different things that are not working, celebrating war, we are trying to enhance trust. And as a byproduct of this democratizing career intelligence, we have seen offshoots come out. Delhi has a huge pollution problem. So one young woman started a Network Capital subgroup focused on trying to address the pollution issue in her own way by bringing together peers that she had previously collaborated with for work. That's the magic that happens when you bring different kinds of people together. Look, as we march into the future, one of the hardest skills that we'll have to develop is the ability to reinvent ourselves. And we can't reinvent ourselves alone. It's lonely, it's boring. I invite you to stop following your passion and abandon these kinds of phrases. Instead, follow your curiosity. Tinker away to success. As we speak, we're seeing a subtle shift from this gig economy, Uber for X model into the purpose economy. And I invite you to join this purpose economy by radically collaborating with each other. The power of community is that it really takes the pressure off you. As we march into the future, as we celebrate the future of work and the infinite possibilities that AI and other technologies will unleash, this human-to-human connection has the ability to change the world. Look, Network Capital is one peer learning platform. It's one community. We've stumbled upon an interesting business model and we've scaled. However, you can either join such a learning community or set up your own. The beauty of peer learning is that anyone can do it. All you need to do is to shift your mindset from competing with each other for standardized goals that were set for Jack and Jill into collaborating with each other through peer-to-peer learning. Thank you very much.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the third session of Global Talks, a year-long series where we bring to you some of the most influential people in our world today. Through this project, we aim to inspire the youth of today by increasing awareness regarding varying crucial topics in our communities. We also want to exchange experiences between different change makers across the globe and to share different success stories, strategies regarding positive impacts in our community, mainly to encourage the youth to follow suit. You are the future. The Global Shapers Panjim Hub, in collaboration with Network Capital, are thrilled to bring to you the third speaker of our series, Global Talks, Utkarsh Amitabh. But before we begin our session, we would first like to introduce ourselves. My name is Ninoshka Pinto. I am the Impact Officer of the Global Shapers Panjim Hub. And now let me hand over to Mrinmay.
Hi everyone, me and Anushka are doing the Global Talks project together, and I used to be I'm an ex-curator for Global Shapers Hub. Right now I'm studying in United Kingdom for my master's. I'd also like to introduce our hub. Our community has grown, it's part of World Economic Forum, and we founded our hub in 2014. And right now we are on the verge of growth and we are growing. We are currently looking for shapers in Panjim or in Goa who are interested in social work to take this ahead with us. We are focusing on multiple areas for our social work, such as climate change, education and employment. Today's topic is related to education and employment and technological advancement. We also did a lot of work during the COVID-19 pandemic, the initial time when it was really important for us to get on the ground and help everyone. So back to you, Ninoshka.
Thank you, Mrinmay. Without further ado, let me introduce to you the man of the hour, today's speaker, Mr. Utkarsh Amitabh. Utkarsh is the founder and CEO of Network Capital. The website is networkcapital.tv, which you're most welcome to visit later. Believe me, you will not be disappointed. It is one of the world's largest career intelligence communities. Besides that, Utkarsh is also a World Economic Forum Global Shaper, Davos 50. He is a writer at Harvard Business Review, a Chevening Fellow at the University of Oxford, and an MBA from INSEAD Business School. His new book, The Seductive Illusion of Hard Work, has become a global bestseller. Utkarsh was also part of the team that built India's first smart village, featured in the Prime Minister's Book of Pioneering Inventions. Other than Network Capital, Utkarsh is also a trained actor. Network Capital, the Netflix for careers. visit it soon after this talk is over. Throughout today's session, we will talk more about our partner for this event, but to put the introduction concisely, it was set up by Utkarsh to democratize career intelligence and make personalized mentoring accessible to everybody on this planet. Their growth to becoming one of the world's largest career intelligence companies with over 100,000 and more verified millennials has entirely been organic. For more information, we'll visit the site later. Utkarsh, without more further ado, let me get to the first question as our audience is eagerly waiting. What more can you tell us about Network Capital?
Think of it as a platform for scaling trust and kindness and making career guidance
Utkarsh, I'm
access.
sorry, your video is still off. Maybe you forgot to switch it on.
It's on from my side.
Yeah, we can see that. Go ahead, Utkarsh.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So essentially, yes. Essentially, it's a platform for scaling kindness, scaling trust, and career guidance is something that it was set up with, but it has become a lot more, and things become very clear when it comes to what we're doing with the respect to the pandemic. I set up Network Capital with a very simple belief that everyone has something to learn and something to teach. All we need to do is to build a community to make that happen. For a long time, I used to do it as a passion project over and above my full-time job at Microsoft. But then I committed to it full-time in the middle of the pandemic, and I decided to take this platform for career intelligence to, to its true potential. And I think if you look at the crisis that countries like India find ourselves in, it's a time where communities need to come together, different kinds. And Network Capital is one community, a fairly large one. But there are many other communities that all need to, be committed to the mission of being there for the other people. And I started this answer by telling you about scaling trust and kindness, and I think that's so important today. So I really hope that we keep doing that. When I look at the Network Capital subgroups, I love the fact that everyone is coming forward to help each other and to support one another. And I think, nothing speaks more of a community than what it does in a time of crisis. So I'm very pleased to see the way people are coming together. I'm also really pained to see what's happening in the country. But, I think we need to do our best and look forward to a brighter future. But what we do today will impact our careers, our relationships, our political choices, our social, um, you know, um, destinations, so to speak. And yeah, Network Capital is one attempt. Excited to tell you guys more about it.
Lovely. So it's basically for anyone who is interested in taking their career to the next level. However,
Yeah,
do you offer anything specifically for young students, maybe who are at the initial stage of deciding their career?
yeah. So we run cohort-based courses on networkcapital.tv. And one of the things that the pandemic has made it clear that online learning tends to be really boring. So how do you treat or transform a fairly boring passive learning process into a community-oriented active one? So we have a fellowship called I Don't Know What I Want to Do with My Life Fellowship. And essentially, it's focused on helping people, conduct micro experiments and discover what they truly want to do with their lives, and then connect with mentors and advance their careers. Figuring out what to do with your life is not as easy a question as one thinks, and I think most educational institutions are not designed for students to help explore and tinker around. That's why I like to call Network Capital as the school you wish you had. And this is a lifelong school and a school that helps you discover, tinker, connect with the smartest people around the world, and in the process advance your career. And again, talking about the pandemic, there are off benefits of these cohort-based courses because when people come together in communities, they also act in communities. So there are many people who've taken Network Capital CBCs, what we like to call community-based courses, cohort-based courses, and they are now coming together. They came together initially for, say, a fellowship of Network Capital, but they are now helping each other out in a time of crisis. So you just need people to come together. And once they do and they learn together, there is a lot more that can happen. And NC is an interesting example of how people can make that happen.
Lovely. So, what would you advise young people or maybe fresh graduates whose parents are not supportive of their career choice?
I think, just hang on one second. Yes, sorry. I think if parents are not supportive, um, it can be really tricky because parents do have an important role to play when it comes to being there as a relatable mentor, nudging them towards interesting choices. My mother, for example, is an award-winning author. She recently got the Sahitya Academy Award, and both my brother and I have learned a lot from just seeing her. My father's a doctor. We've seen both our parents work all the time. So we've always, like strong work ethic has been inculcated in us. If I look at my life and that of my brother without the support of our parents, I think it would have been, less fulfilling. But honestly, even my parents, as progressive and as supportive they are, it's nobody told them that this is how you think of careers in the 21st century. I think they experimented as well. They must have made some mistakes along the way, but they learned from the process and they got what they are. I do feel that if parents are not supportive, it's worthwhile having a detailed conversation and starting with why about why should I study engineering? Why should I study this? And have a detailed conversation. Really try and understand where they are coming from. And if they're still not convinced, you should send them to networkcapital.tv. I'm pretty sure they will get convinced about the right choices that people should think. I don't think uh, parents mean badly, or parents, a non-supportive parent wants a bad outcome for his or her child. A non-supportive parent perhaps doesn't know what a good career path looks like, what career choices should they take. That is why I started Network Capital in a way. This space of mentoring, career navigation is completely broken. People have a ton of advice, but it's not really verified or put together smartly. So we've attempted to do that in our own way, but I understand what it is. If you look at my TED talk, the first one, I say that India is a land where there are 1.3 billion people, 1.3 billion cricket coaches, 1.3 billion career coaches. And now, when I look at the crisis, I think 1.3 billion coronavirus experts as well. So I think if you combine all of them, that does get tricky, but you need to start with why and really understand where the parent is perhaps coming from and nudge them towards the right platforms.
Lovely. And I'm sure any parent who visits Network Capital will be open to avenues which they've never seen before because I've visited the
Yeah,
site.
we also have a
So,
summer school coming up in June, where again I told you Network Capital is at the school you never had. So now we do actually interact with a lot of parents because they are sending their school kids mostly to us to the Network Capital school. So I do get to speak with a bunch of them, and listening to them, understanding where they're coming from has been really interesting for Network Capital's growth because, as I said, parents don't mean badly. Sometimes they may not know enough about all careers. Nobody knows enough about all careers. That's why you have platforms, right?
okay, so you literally made use of tapping into our network as a major commercial success. How important is it for aspiring professionals to use their network? In fact, what does it even mean using your network? Is it basically taking advantage of our friends and family, people that we know?
So the most effective way to network is to build and be part of communities. And the second most important thing to do is to add specific value to other people. If networking is it's not really about hobnobbing with people or smiling cutely or taking lots of pictures. Network capital works because it adds specific value to 100,000 plus people every single day, whether it's COVID crisis, whether it's finding jobs, whether it's advancing careers, and it does that in a freemium model where if you are a subscriber, you get like lots of additional services, access to networkcapital.tv. But even if you're not, like you still have among the world's largest verified communities. So we've grown because we add specific value. And I think anyone who wants to tap into a network or use network to grow, one, join Network Capital, and two, learn to add specific value to other people. I can't tell you how much I have benefited just from realizing this fact that most of life's success comes down to how valuable you are to other people, not to yourself. Givers are more powerful than takers. The world is going to be run by givers who want to contribute to the world, who want to make the world, a kinder, calmer, and smarter place, I think.
Beautiful sentence, beautiful sentence. We already have an audience question by Roshan Rekar. Roshan says, the most clueless ones in terms of a fruitful career are at the extremes, either the most educated or the ones just starting out at the grassroots. Now, the
Yeah.
upper class with enough of finance has access to network capital. How do you plan to touch base with those who need network capital supports at the grassroots levels?
We have lots of scholarships on networkcapital.tv. So there are a few endowment funds who've come forward and decided to make some of the cohort-based courses, the subscription heavily subsidized. And in the recently concluded D2C fellowship, the instructors or the course directors, Arjun and Trisha, decided to sponsor some fellows. So we are very happy to make Network Capital as affordable for anybody who wants it. So we are committed to being need blind and we are taking conscious steps towards it.
Very benevolent. Now let's get back onto the career topic because not everyone has the luxury to choose passion over a paycheck, and many people eventually they end up regretting the career that they've chosen. Maybe they're unsatisfied at a later stage in life. What would you advise these people, and how difficult is it to make a career switch later on in life?
I think I have written for the World Economic Forum about this subject, how to find a job you love. And I also wrote for the Harvard Business Review about the specific way in which you can transform your passion into a profession. Um, if you're not doing something that you truly care about, it's very difficult to be good at it. And in the 21st century, if you're not particularly good at something, you won't have a job for too long. So the 21st century is going to become a century where people who are very, very, very good at X skill will have a viable employment, others will not. Now, does not mean that everybody needs to do the same thing. That's the origin of mistakes. In India, or many people say, "Oh, AI is a very hot speed," so everyone goes and runs and starts, at least reading up on AI. They should. AI is important, but everyone will not become a distinguished AI engineer. It doesn't mean that they are fools. It just means that they need to find what they find curiosity inducing, what they care most about. And the rule of thumb is to choose something that is work for others and play for you. So pick smartly, and excelling something is very easy if you like what you do. And it's very hard if you've chosen the wrong path. It's a bit like banging your head on the wall, expecting the wall to move, and it won't. Not because your head is not particularly strong, it's because, you're just barking up the wrong tree. Most of failure in life comes from a failure of incorrect choice. It's not about aptitude, it's not about IQ, it's not even about EQ. These things help, but primarily what you choose to work on and how you choose to work on and who you choose to work with is far more important than any of these objective criteria. I talk about extensively in my book, The Seductive Illusion of Hard Work, which can be purchased on Amazon. If you look at the preface or if you look at the way the chapters have been designed, we do study some exceptional commonalities among people we admire, and it turns out choice, not chance, made the difference.
Mm. So basically, you're saying you choose something which you can do, which no one else can. That's what will make you successful in terms of whatever.
I
Um,
meant that you should choose something that you find energizing, but it
mhm.
might be considered work for it. For example, community
Right,
building is energizing for me. It doesn't, it seems like play to me. The same community building will seem like the hardest thing to do for another kind of person. So
right,
instead of competing with me on community building, that person is much better off doing something that energizes him or her. Network
right.
capital energizes me. I am not doing network capital to prove a point, to prove that this is a great financial success or a social success. All these things don't matter. I love what I do every day. Yeah, because I love what I do, there are some benefits of, that come through it. You become better at it. Once you get better
Right.
at it, you enjoy it more. If you look at my other TED talk or Ink talk, sorry, about passion and purpose, people think that passion is found by sitting under a tree and waiting for the metaphoric apple to fall. That's not how you find passion. You find passion through micro experiments. And again, I don't know what I want to do with my life fellowship. And in the summer school, we teach that very carefully. What is the process of conducting a micro experiment? How do you sort of structure it? How do you move forward? And yeah, I think it's really important to know where passion stems from before you try and demystify it.
I'm glad you said micro experiments because that is our topic. Can you explain what exactly do you mean by micro experiments?
Yeah, so Network Capital was initially a micro experiment. Lots of people would reach out to me about career advice, about how to get into a top business school like INSEAD, how to get into a good company like Microsoft, how do you get to Davos, like all kinds of questions, how to write for Harvard Business Review, etc., etc. I didn't have time to speak to everybody, but it just occurred to me that people reach out to people for advice all the time. So what if I conduct or set up a minimum viable product and see what happens? So in Network Capital's case, that minimum viable product was initially the Facebook group that still exists. It has about 70,000 people today. Um, and that micro experiment of setting up that Facebook group, I thought, a few hundred people will join and they can perhaps peer mentor each other. It just blew up and it blew up and became really large. It became so large that Facebook selected it, I think, among the very few groups in the whole world with an inbuilt subscription feature. And before I started doing Network Capital full time. Capital's Facebook group had an inbuilt subscription feature. Now we've taken that and built a full-fledged tech portal, networkcapital.tv. But if there wasn't a Facebook group, I wouldn't have enough insights to really know what the millennial mind thinks for. A lot of my writing still comes from the Facebook group. I connect with people. I learn from their comments, their ideas and insights. And for anybody who's listening, they should go to the Facebook group of Network Capital and see there is zero spam. There are 50% women, 50% men. There are people from 112 countries, and they're all united in the fact that they want to add specific value to other and grow and advance in their careers. It's a delight to see this kind of peer collaboration. And having made the Facebook group work, I then figured out a business model and then transitioned to Network Capital TV, which is a lot like the Netflix for careers. So, this is one way to do it. Again, I've written about it in much more detail in my Harvard Business Review article. Perhaps the Panjim Hub can send it to the listeners in some shape or form. Do take a look. It'll explain to you how this entire process works. And we also have a side hustle fellowship coming up where you can join and conduct micro experiments with a community. And I love to see micro experiments in action. So feel free to get in touch anytime.
For anyone interested in reading this Harvard article, the link has just been posted in our comment session. Utkarsh, we have a question from the audience member, Ms. Ritika Gupta. She says,
Hmm.
how does one micro experiment mid career? Importantly, how do you choose these opportunities? You know what to do when.
Yeah. So, Ritika, as we speak, we have a Network Capital Writing Fellowship going on. So, if you look at the profiles of people who've signed up for the Writing Fellowship, There are some people in their 20s, some in their 30s, some in their 40s, some in their 50s, some in their 60s. So what's happening in the 21st century is that age is truly becoming agnostic, and it is ceasing to matter, because we'll have to learn to work with people much younger than us, much older than us on a daily basis. So in the writing fellowship, one experiment is that, people want to write a book. Many people have that aspiration, but you'll never write the book if you don't write your first page, and you'll never write that first page if there is not something to look forward for. And if you want to see and test out whether you really have writing in you, one, join the Network Capital Writing Fellowship, and second, actually write something and see what people say. So this can be done when whether you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60, whatever. But if you say that, if you're waiting for some ideal day when suddenly you will have the idea to write a brilliant book, that ideal day will never come. So the whole concept of an ideal day or an ideal X or an ideal Y is broken. There is no ideal. The time is now, for good or for bad. We will all tinker our way, fall a few times, and with the support of a community, get to the next level. I think the sooner we accept this fact, the easier it becomes to conduct micro experiments. And one of the things that I teach in the Network Capital Fellowship on public speaking, writing, and the CEO Fellowship is that if you don't make a fool out of yourself many times in your life, you're not actually living a fulfilling life. One part of life is to make a fool out of yourself. It is good to be laughed at once a while. And you just become smarter and more resilient through the process. So treat this as an opportunity that even if somebody mocks you or laughs at your experiment, it's totally worth it. It actually shows progress.
I actually had an a question. How do we avoid taking career risks in these experiments? But like you said, if you don't take a risk, you're standing not to gain anything, if I've understood you right.
Yeah. But let me explain that, because if you look at the when I transitioned from Microsoft and Network Capital as a passion project to full time, it was not like just jumping randomly into it. It was a very thoughtful, considered decision. And again, like the article talks about it in more detail, but I knew the micro experiment. I had the results. I saw the results. I tested out the business model. It worked pretty okay. And it then started working really well. And then, okay, maybe there is a real business here. It's not just a project. Then networkcapital.tv came. So it wasn't like, one fine day I woke up and said that, okay, let's just do this. Some people advise this style. I don't. I think people should take risk, but people should basically know their risk
Calculated
appetite.
risks.
Risk appetite. For example, I am not a particularly risk averse person. I'm okay taking lots of risks, but many people are not. And if you're not a particularly, you don't like taking too much risk, then basically pave your way, you consider and tinker your way along. And nobody's asking you to put all your eggs in one basket and go there instantly. Take your time. And again, like in the writing fellowship, want to be a writer? Write 2 pages. See how it feels. Can you write 2 pages for the next 30 days? If you can and you enjoy the process, perhaps there is a book in you. If you hate the process, you should not write. Do something else.
Absolutely. We have another audience question related to this stream of thought. What are the micro experiments which can be done in the present COVID scenario to groom ourselves for maybe future requirements of the world?
I think in the COVID scenario, the one experiment that all of us need to do is to try and help somebody who we don't like or who we don't agree with. The pandemic has actually united all of us in a way that has not been done before. And we should all use this opportunity to truly understand the problems of the 21st century are interconnected. We're all really all in this together. And you can blame it on another country or another political party or on a business person or a political person. These are all ways to escape. Own the problem, accept responsibility, and try and help one person you don't really like. If you make this a habit, 21st century, especially your work life, will be a really good one. Network Capital is present in Israel, Palestine, India, Pakistan, all kinds of countries. Uh, Diplomatic tensions doesn't mean that people to people collaboration needs to stop. And in this time of crisis, I think it's really important that we make scaling kindness our core value, because tomorrow it could be your family in need, and you will want people to be by your side when you face through trauma and crisis.
Absolutely. I forgot to mention the name of the audience member who asked. She was Neha Rati. She asked the previous question. And the
Okay.
next question comes from Aisha Kalangutkar. She says, what about the professions that are becoming obsolete? And we see that happening at a rapid pace today, especially because of COVID.
Yeah, 500 million people lost their jobs, last year. And I wrote a chapter in a book published by Observer Research Foundation in this. And one thing that you will realize is that the professions that have been gone, they are in all directions. They're in the aviation industry, they are in hospitality, they are in engineering, so all of those things. I think the professions that will be obsolete are the ones where efficiency can be gamed by a machine. The professions that will always be valuable are the professions where certain kind of creativity is involved. So think of community building. Uh, I like to write a lot about passion economy, where people are transforming their passions into professions. I think in the 21st century, passion economy is going to be a lot more in demand than before. So what will become obsolete? Yeah, if you have a repetitive job, eventually a machine will do it. So, it's in your interest to try and repivot your career. If you're in a job in a sector that's dying, yeah, it's bound to go. Reinvention or reinventing yourself is a critical life skill and a work skill. And you'll have to reinvent yourself multiple times in 21st century. You can't reinvent yourself alone. You need communities. That's why you should be part of interesting communities which are premised on adding specific value to others. You will grow through the process and your community will grow through the process as well.
I have a very interesting question to ask you, Utkarsh, and if we have any young members in our audience, I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
Hmm.
Talking about jobs in gaming, what is
Yeah,
your opinion? Because that's the most common excuse that students give their parents, but I can earn from this, and then they spend 6 hours
I
playing
think it's
games.
amazing. I think parents should really encourage um, a child to follow his or her curiosity, whether it's gaming or cricket or whatever they feel like. Actually, if you look at Slack, the company, it was essentially, like there was a lot of, it was built for gamers and it was a chatting app and so forth, and it then pivoted to something else. A lot of really smart techies, go on and trace their interest in computing to gaming. There is a passion economy enthusiast called PewDiePie who basically streams his gaming and makes a ton of money doing so. So, what's the moral of the story? Passion economy works. Stop mugging up for exams all the time because 21st century is not about mugging for exams, it's basically prepping for life. And if you find that you can, play video games or run video games among the best in the world, you will have a fulfilling life and a fulfilling career. But if you constantly chase the hot new things, today this is hot, tomorrow that is hot, day after something else is hot, you will basically exhaust yourself.
Correct. So, according to my research, according to financialexpress.com, India ranks third in the world for the number of startups per year. This
Yeah.
means that we are full of budding entrepreneurs. Now, in your
Hmm.
professional experience, with your experience, is this the future? Which means, will the whole scenario of job hunting change? People are more aiming
People
towards
will create,
creating their own
yes.
jobs,
People will
right?
create their own jobs, people will create their own companies, and people will monetize their passion into viable professions. Today, writers are making hundreds of thousands of dollars because they've realized that actually, instead of working for a newspaper, they can start a newsletter, put a subscription feature on it, and create a killing through that process. YouTubers have realized that if you do an exceptional job at YouTube, it can go down that route. So, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story in the 21st century: create more than you consume. And these were one of the final words of Jeff Bezos's last letter, to shareholders. And I think it's an interesting model. I mean, I'm not a Jeff Bezos bhakt or anything. I'm just telling you that that particular sentence of Bezos was quite profound. Create more than you consume. and spend a lot of time figuring out how to add value to others, and life will take care of you professionally, financially, in all other ways.
In similar lines, we have an audience question by Sadia Sabera. She asks, how is network capital making education slash learning loans a better place for learners to grab the opportunities with ease?
We run cohort-based courses. Our philosophy is that content plus community plus career intelligence equal to the future of education. So we complement our, video content on networkcapital.tv with a community learning format, live classes, etc., and one-on-one mentoring through career intelligence services that Network Capital offers. Right now, there are 100,000 plus Network Capital community members. We have been partners of Niti Aayog Atal Innovation Mission for the past 4 years. And we today indirectly mentor 1.6 million school children. In the coming years, you'll see that number scale. And we want to commend Atal Innovation Mission for defining such a wonderful program, such a wonderful initiative. It's been a real privilege to work, alongside them on this mission.
Absolutely. A very important question which many working people find difficult today has come from Akshara Gudino. She asks, what is your mantra to find a balance in life?
Do something that energizes you. If you're doing something you don't like, you will burn out. Then no amount of work-life balance will save you. Please don't do a job you hate. You will burn out. It's simple. If you do a job you love, you will, you will feel more energized by it. And yes, doing a job you love doesn't mean that you will not get exhausted. You will not feel the pains, all of that. No, that's not what I'm saying. But prioritizing your energy to do important things is far more important than other stuff. So please make sure that you're committed to carving out things for your pleasures, for your pursuits, as long as you've picked something that you truly care about.
I think we'll take the last two audience questions for this evening. Kaustubh Vaidya has asked, as you have rightly highlighted the importance of knowing what you are passionate about, paycheck ultimately matters. So, how does network capital help those who find themselves in this situation where they have found their passion, but there isn't much scope for monetization in this field?
I don't think that in the 21st century there's literally anything with no scope of monetization. Even if you cook butter chicken really well, I can tell you 100 ways you can make lots and lots of money just with your butter chicken. So the question is of financial wealth, of financial security is not something which is, too difficult to attain. As long as you're with the right community, you're doing something that you really want. And just to make sure that I'm not exaggerating what I'm saying, if you really know how to cook butter chicken amazingly well, put it on YouTube, see whether there is real traction in it, whether your recipe picks up, see how it grows. Once your videos start getting serious traction, YouTube will pay you for creating that money. Brands will come to you for partnership. You can eventually start a subscription through your YouTube. So pick anything: dance, music, art, lecture, cricket, anything. There are ways to transform your hobby or your passion into a job that you love. If you don't know how, we will teach you on networkcapital.tv. But pick any profession, and I'll tell you how you can make very serious financial, outcomes through that.
Perfectly said, just perfectly said. And the last audience question that we will take in for today, only because of time constraints, is from Aisha Kalangutkar again. I love this question. She says, how do you take the first step to reinvent your career?
The first step to reinvent your career, I would like to say read my book, Seductive Illusion of Hard Work. I think it'll help you. But jokes aside, you should really ask yourself, if today were your last day and you had 6 hours to do some work, what would you do? Whatever is the answer that comes to your mind is something that you should seriously consider doing, ASAP. You know, inspiration is perishable. If you don't act on it now, sometimes it'll just fritter away. I'll tell you about my book. I wrote the book while I was having a full-time job. Network Capital is growing very fast. I had a weekly column at Mint, a large Indian newspaper. And generally, was doing a lot of traveling, but I was able to write it because I was conscious of my inspiration. I would write when I was inspired. I wouldn't wait for the perfect moment, but when and if the moment of inspiration came, I just went for it. So the first step is to really ask yourself, last day, last 6 hours, I have something work to do. What would I do? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I was going to end this interview with a question for the youth, but Sushruth Thakur, our audience member, has done that for me. He said, how do you find the time to do something for yourself or learn something when your college only cares about your academic marks and burdens you with tons of assignments? This question touches upon the entire education system of our
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. Essentially, it comes down to a choice. Your college can tell you a lot of things. Society tells you a lot of things as well. You know, sleep at this time, wake up at this time, follow rules, follow orders. All of these things are good. You should follow rules and follow orders, but question the rules, question the orders to understand where they're coming from. Is there merit in your college pressing you for your grades? If there is, go for it. If there isn't, if it's just like random thing that you don't really care about, or if you're really worried about, building your own thing in the crypto space, and your college keeps asking you to, write articles on human history, then perhaps you need to change and focus on what your true calling is. Look, in the 21st century, I really feel that ownership needs to be significant from our side. Don't let your college tell you what you should do with your time and your energy. Question the motives, and maybe there is some method to their academic focus. Many good colleges do have that. But if you still feel that there is something else, somewhere else you'd rather spend your time and energy, you should absolutely feel free to do so.
Aptly put, but it's a very difficult situation, especially for a young person in society today. Like Sushruth said, if they argue, you're told don't argue, stay in your place. It's difficult, but the system is changing. I see. So there are,
But
like
I
you
will
said,
say that, you
positive.
have to ask yourself, what do you really want? Do you want to be a good guy who follows everybody's orders? If yes, you'll keep following orders all your life. The question is that you do need to, at one level, you need to stop lying to yourself and lying to everyone around and really do what you care about. If you do care about something X, there is no reason in the world you should not be doing it. No reason. But if you have not found X, keep conducting micro experiments till you do find it.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Utkarsh, this was a fantastic, very interesting, and very informational talk. We thank you. Can you end with a piece of advice, maybe a short piece of advice for the youth of today? Overall,
Yeah,
after everything is used.
yeah. I would just say that uh, build and be part of communities. Don't feel the need to find your passion alone. You will need others to reinvent you, and you will help reinvent them. And this peer to peer learning support will eventually get us out of COVID and will also help and build and advance meaningful careers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Utkarsh, for joining us today for this amazing session. I personally enjoyed it, and our audience certainly did as well, judging by the amount of questions that we received. If any of you would like to contact Utkarsh for further details, feel free to visit his website, networkcapital.tv. You may also contact him through the Global Shapers Panjim Hub. Also visit our website and Instagram account, Facebook account, so you get to know more about the work that we are doing. Next month, we will come in with another amazing human being, just like Utkarsh, who's making a real change in this world. All these speakers that we are getting are proof that what Utkarsh is saying is right. If you find your passion, you can do well in it, as long as you have that strength and that courage to take it on.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you
last
once
point.
again.
Don't obsess
Yes,
too much
please.
on passion. Replace the word passion with curiosity. Passions change. Curiosity is so
Curiosity.
pure. Yeah. All right,
Brilliant.
folks. Take care.
Absolutely brilliant.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe.